I just finished watching the Netflix series Wayward, and at first, I only watched it because of Toni Collette. I've loved her since Hereditary.
Don't you swear at me, you little shit! Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother!
But I realized that Wayward was way deeper than I expected. It's full of hidden meaning, wild symbolism, and an ending that leaves you questioning everything. So today, I'm breaking it all down. To really unpack this series, I'm going to break it down into three main parts. The real story behind the series. We'll look at the inspiration behind Wayward from the perspective of Mae Martin, who not only wrote the show, but also played Alex Dempsey. Also, what cult inspired the series? Tall Pines Academy Guidebook. Let's dive into the Academy's four phases, its strict policies, and the strange practices like the hot seat and the mirror room. Big questions unanswered. Did Layla actually kill her sister? What really happens during the leap? Did Laura kill her parents? And the biggest one, after everything Alex discovered, why did he choose to stay in Wayward? The real story behind the series. Even though Wayward is not based on a true story and Tall Pines Academy is completely made up, a lot of what happens in the show actually comes from Mae Martin's own life experiences. One big source of inspiration was Mae's best friend, who was sent to a troubled teen program when she was a teenager. When the best friend came back, she shared all these bizarre, over-the-top stories about the therapy she had to go through. Some of it was scary, some of it was just plain weird, but it stuck in Mae's mind. Those stories became the spark for Wayward. When creating Wayward, Martin did not just invent the creepy school. He dug into a real-life groups like Synanon. Started in 1958 by Charles Dederick, Synanon was supposed to help people with drugs and alcohol problems, kind of like the alternative to Alcoholics Anonymous. But it quickly grew into something much stranger. The group's therapy was intense. In the Synanon game, people would scream their deepest thoughts at each other, then hug it out. Sound familiar? That's basically episode 3, Hot Seat in Wayward. Members had to follow strict rules, shave their heads, wear certain clothes, and live on the compound. Leaving was not really an option. They were warned they'd relapse if they tried. By 1991, they tried claiming that they were a religion to dodge taxes. A federal judge shut that down, calling it fraud. Tall Pines Academy Guidebook. The Netflix series Wayward does not just tell a fictional story, it digs deep into the real-world troubled teen industry. And honestly, the reason it hits so hard is because so much of it mirrors actual events. Tall Pines Academy, the school in the show, is not just some made-up nightmare. It has clear similarities to real programs like the Academy of Ivy Ridge, the Okeechobee School, the Dozier School for Boys. These were real institutions, and many former students have shared what they went through there. The very first sign that something is wrong with Wayward comes when Abby's family does not even tell her she's been sent away. Instead, she's basically kidnapped in the middle of the night by strangers. The first red flag: Abby's kidnapping. As shocking as this looks on screen, it's pulled directly from reality. In the Netflix documentary, The Program, survivors talked about this exact same thing happening to them. It's not just rare, this kind of forced transport was a common practice. Even shows like Dr. Phil and Multiple Expose have highlighted how teens were taken like this against their will, all in the name of therapy. The harsh rules of Tall Pines. When Abby finally arrives at Tall Pines Academy, she's hit with a long list of rules, and these rules are extreme. No touching each other, except during something called convergence. Don't get too emotionally close to anyone. No writing tools. Keep your living space spotless to a ridiculous level. And worst of all, mandatory participation in something called the hot seat. These punishments and restrictions were not invented for TV. Survivors of Ivy Ridge said they dealt with almost the exact same rules. No touching, no real friendships, no personal belongings. Basically, the system was designed to break you down. The 4 phases of reform. Tall Pines has a system that divides students into 4 levels: borrow, break, build, and descend. Here's how it works. If you are on the lower levels, you have no privileges. You can't sit with other groups, you barely get enough food, and you are completely isolated. If you move up to build, you might get small rewards, like being allowed to play board games. But if somehow you reach ascend, that's when you finally get what feels like luxury. Things like pizza, pudding, access to a lounge, massages, and even monitored phone calls. The whole system is built to force obedience. One wrong move, and you get knocked down a level again. Hot seat. One of the hardest scenes to watch in Wayward is the so-called hot seat therapy. It's basically students ganging up on each other, tearing each other down, and calling out every weakness. The show makes it clear this is not therapy, it's abuse. This idea comes from attack therapy, which started in a cult called Synonym. Synonym used something called the game, where people were forced into hours of verbal humiliation and radical honesty. But radical honesty only meant pointing out the negative, nothing positive. The goal was to break people down until they could be controlled. When Synonym collapsed, its method did not disappear. Survivors carried those tactics into the troubled teen industry. That's why, in Wayward, it makes sense that Evelyn, once a cult follower, now a cult leader, would use the same techniques at Tall Pines Academy. The hot seat is the show's way of exposing how crushing and damaging those practices really were. The mirror room. The mirror room in Wayward hides one of the show's biggest symbols, the door. At first, it looks simple. A door means an entrance or an exit, right? But here, it's only an image. It's not real. And that's the point. It represents an idea, not an escape. Evelyn explains that parents often send their kids to Tall Pines because they can't cope. But what actually happens is that the pain just keeps getting passed down from parent to child like a toxic inheritance. It suggests that in order to escape, you have to walk through the pain and trauma of the generations before you. It's a haunting metaphor. Your only way out is by confronting the suffering that came before you. Big questions and answered. Did Layla actually kill her sister? Near the finale, Layla goes through a recovered memory therapy. In one of these sessions, she suddenly remembers pushing Jess into the water and watching her drown. But here's the catch. Those memories only appear after multiple rounds of the therapy. And recovered memory therapy? It's been widely debunked. Experts warn against it because it can create false memories that feel completely real to the person experiencing them. In Layla's case, that's exactly what we see. Evelyn guides her through these sessions, pushing her toward one version of events, and then another. Each time, the story shifts a little more until Layla herself can't tell what's true anymore. And there's Abby. She's the one we can trust. Abby reminds Layla, "You didn't kill Jess. Evelyn's messing with your head." That single line undercuts everything Evelyn has been trying to convince Layla of. So no, Layla did not definitely kill Jess, at least not according to what the show confirms. The narrative purpose is less about who did it and more about the memory, trauma, guilt, and how someone like Evelyn can manipulate both. What really happens during the leap? Kids are taken to a flooded basement. In the middle of the water is a doorway. That's where the leap happens. The person getting leaped is injected with psychedelic drugs and then tortured. Evelyn claims the leap cuts people off from their parents and rids them of trauma. But in reality, it's a culty abuse tactic. It forces kids to bury their emotions, childhood memories, and family connections. She calls it a fix for bad behavior and trauma. The truth? This is not therapy. Burying these kinds of problems does nothing to heal them and frequently makes the situation worse in the long run. Did Laura actually kill her parents? The answer to this question is ambiguous. Some classmates say her parents came to take her back from Tall Pines. Evelyn claims Laura smashed their heads with a rock. But can we trust Evelyn? She's manipulative, controlling, and Laura clearly misses her parents, which suggests an emotional connection to them. Their car was found in a lake, hinting a different possibility. The show never shows Laura being brainwashed like Layla, so the truth is left up in the air. Honestly, based on Evelyn's patterns of covering students' death, she could have done it. But it's also a possibility that Laura really did it. The show leaves it to the viewers to decide. But what do you think? Why did Alex stay in Tall Pines? One of the most confusing parts of Wayward is why Alex stays in Tall Pines with Laura, basically the town's new cult leader, and their baby. He could have taken the baby and run, but he chooses to stay. Why? It seems Alex is looking for love and support he never had as a kid. His father was abusive, and Alex even repeated some of those patterns as a violent cop. He probably thinks the town will protect his child from the same cycle of violence. After all, the community rallied around the birth, doing things like skin-to-skin bonding. But here's the catch. Staying means his child will grow up in a cult that represses emotions and enforces happiness, not freedom. Alex's choice might feel comforting at first, but it comes with a hidden cost. So what do you think about Wayward? Did it live up to the hype or leave you scratching your head? Personally, I find it a little bit underwhelming. It didn't exactly leave a mark. But the ambiguity, I kinda liked it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your take. And don't forget to subscribe. See you in my next video.